Breaking news. This just into the City Pigeons Podcast. The podcast is no more. As part of a 12-leg parlay, which includes Moroccan wiffle ball and fruit cutting from Norway, Mike Meech has gambled away the podcast, and it's gone. More up at 11.
Oh my God. Can we? Ladies and gentlemen, the finest entrance by a City Pigeons guest of all time.
I would never bet on Moroccan wiffle ball.
Are you sure you bet
offended.
You bet on soccer
the
last
first thing
week,
that came to
didn't you?
mind.
Joining us, CBS 3 extraordinary talent, Pat Gallen.
Thank
Pat,
you.
how are you?
I'm great.
Yo, man,
Thank
you
you.
for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Welcome,
This
Pat.
is a lot of fun. This
See,
is a lot of fun.
I knew when we brought in a true professional that we'd get some gold. And I just think maybe we let you run with the show.
That felt more like bronze, but I'll take gold. I'll go with it.
Wait, so we still have the podcast though? That wasn't real.
Yeah, I was just kidding.
No, that was serious.
Damn it, Meech.
Well, we did talk previously about how he was betting on exit velocity at the home run derby. So, he can find a bet
won.
anywhere.
Oh my God, it's awesome.
Meech, any big wins that we need to talk about?
No,
or did you level off?
I was done. I withdrew my winnings from last week, and I'm done.
You lost it all.
No fruit cutting from Norway.
No.
weren't betting on
You
that?
had a
Okay,
good run.
I wonder if you can bet on those. Like, you ever see those slap contests that they have on the internet?
Yeah,
I've
they
seen
look fun.
Those things look nuts. You could probably put some.
But it's
some
always a
paper
dude
up
who
on
looks
one
like
of those.
Action Bronson circa 2004 who just knocks the
If
shit
you
out.
want to have a slap contest with Fink or something, I'm happy to bet with somebody on it.
I'm
So we
too
can
old for
try
that. I'm too
Yeah,
old
man.
for that.
That would
yeah.
be a good
Fink
bit.
tank.
That'd be a good bit. Yep, we introduced Pat to the Fink tank. He knows how to, send things over to the other news
I love
desk,
it.
so he's going to be very comfortable with this. Well, thank you for joining us, man. Really.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're a busy guy, so if you don't know,
Extremely busy.
this guy, he's all over the news. He's out there interviewing, just doing great work in the community.
Coming straight from PGA Tour practice.
I was, yeah. I was
Talk-
just at BMW Championship.
Yes, please talk to us about that a little bit. We are, wannabe golfers ourselves, so we're very interested to hear what's going. There's a lot going on with the Live Tour.
There is,
Tiger.
yeah.
I know you were posting about Tiger getting out of his plane and all this. It must have been buzzing.
It
down
was
there.
like Tiger Watch today at Wilmington Country Club, which actually, I have a quick story that Fink might enjoy. I asked to interview a professional golfer. His name's Tom Hoge. Has everyone ever heard of
Tom
Tom
Hoge?
Hoge?
Nah, I don't know him.
It's spelled Hoge, but
Still.
I thought, all right, look,
Perfect.
anyone can interview John Rahm or
Yeah,
Scotty
right.
Scheffler. I'm
Yeah,
like,
right.
I need to talk to Tom Hoge. And so we talked about the Tiger Woods thing, and he said, well, I'm not one of the big guns, so they're probably not inviting me to this meeting that they're all having. That's why Tiger's in town. And I said, okay, that's fine. But you do know your last name is Hoge, right? So we have to talk about that. What's your favorite Hoge? He's like, he didn't call it a sub, but he said, I'm pretty basic. I'm boring. I'm like a turkey and cheese guy. But really, the only reason I went out there was to ask Tom Hoge about
that's
hoagies.
the-
So Fink, that
that's
one
the hard
hard.
hitting
That brings a
That's
smile to my. Look at me smiling over.
it would have been
Smile
better
on
if you
my
just had that
face.
Fink's Hoagie in your hand and said, you know what, this is the best
Exactly,
Hoagie you ever
exactly.
Now,
had.
where's Tom Hoge from? Did he understand the Hoge phenomenon? Or
He
did you have
did.
to educate him?
He did. Yeah. I don't think he'd ever tried a true because I think he's from North Carolina. They probably call
Okay.
them sub,
Subs,
it's a
yeah.
sub down there. But he was excited. He asked me where I could, where he could find a good hoagie, and I told him you got to come to Philly. I didn't know much about the Wilmington hoagie scene. Think Tank, is there a Wilmington hoagie scene?
There's only one hoagie shop I know. That's Fink's.
Everything else
The only
sucks.
one. Yeah.
So that's my story
Was
about
that
Tom
your
Hoge.
video of
They'll
Tiger
do-
getting out the car and him and Ricky Fowler getting off the plane and getting into the car? I just saw it a couple minutes
That was
ago.
not my video of the plane, but we got him going to the Hotel DuPont in Wilmington.
You look kind of rough, man. I was just
did.
like, dude, you look like you just got off a
Throw a
bender.
hat on, Tiger.
I mean, I guess you get off. Everyone's limping when they get off the plane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't look
Oh,
great.
there it is. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Look at the Fink tank is
Oh, there
on
it is.
point
Tank.
already.
Yeah.
Fast, working fast.
Good job, Fink.
He's got those Terminator Ray-Bans on.
Thinning hair and everything.
But I asked a very important question, which is, does he order ahead to Starbucks?
Yeah, look,
I saw that.
they got Tiger on the cup.
So are you down there all weekend covering this?
I'll be there tomorrow as well. Luckily, I'm off a couple days this weekend. But yeah, it's pretty cool down there. It's a great, beautiful course. It was cool to see. You get a bird's eye view of like the top golfers in the world and get to see what they do. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
Nice.
And that's got to be, one of the best things about what you do, right? And I know you've covered a lot of amazing events.
Yeah.
Anything that's happening in town, kind of get to go out there and talk to some people. That's got to be fun, growing up here.
Yeah, I grew up in Northeast Philly, went to Northeast High, so it was always a dream of mine to work in my hometown, and I get to do that every day. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it just seems like I've gotten pretty lucky in the time that I've been in TV. Some of the stuff that I've gotten to cover. Eagles Super Bowl, was just at the Final Four with Villanova. Traveled with the Sixers. So it's been
and
nice.
I do want to dig into all that because I know there's some really good stories about some of the places you've been and the moments that you've experienced. But I want to point out that these guys noted that we are outnumbered by the Northeasters today.
That's right.
That's
That's
right.
right. That's
baby.
right.
Northwesters, and we got 3 Northeasters. It's a little bit of a
I thought you
scary
said you were
prospect.
like Northeast
I said I was on
adjacent
the
or something
verge
like
of
that. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm
Being at the
basically
bottom of the
there.
bully.
Yeah, just get on the boulevard.
What neighborhood were you grow up in?
I grew up in Lawndale, I guess.
Longcrest.
Yeah. I played basketball as a kid growing up at Longcrest, but I guess technically I lived in Lawndale.
So you know the boulevard, right?
Do I?
What, you know what it's called? Like what do you
Like
what's it?
like Roosevelt Boulevard?
Yes, exactly.
Not Roosevelt? Is that what we're getting at here?
I pronounce it Roosevelt, and I get my balls busted pretty much every episode about it.
Yeah, he
But it can
admitted.
go. It's one of those things that can go either way.
He
I don't think there's a
admitted that it
wrong
was named
answer, right?
after President Roosevelt, and still calls it Roosevelt.
So growing up in the Northeast, you've heard like family members and whoever
Yeah,
else.
have you heard someone say
You've
that?
heard that?
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
Of course.
so it's common.
Yeah.
We just don't know that because we're not real. We're
Yeah.
not Northeasters like you guys.
I'm the only person in the Gallen family lineage that doesn't have the Northeast accent.
Yeah.
Now, is that
I don't think that'd be-
purposely
yeah.
for
kinda
journalism?
had to.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because you really can't
Well-
go through all that with.
I don't know. I've been listening to this guy. He was on the radio back in the day. He always was pretty, well spoken.
thank you.
Not that you're not well spoken if you have a Northeast accent, but
No, I know.
It's tough.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I got to college and I kind of thought like, I never really had as strong an accent as my
Right.
family did. I don't, for whatever reason, I don't know. But I guess I figured like if I wanted to work in
See,
Sacramento or something like,
Yeah,
you
it
can't
doesn't
really
Think
work
work
when
that.
you go to college, you're going to have to clean that up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know
I'll
what I
think
mean?
about it.
All right, think about it. Think about it. Very cool. Well, I also was talking to Meech a little bit and heard that you played hoops, right?
Yeah.
Did you play hoops with Kyle Lowry? Is that accurate?
I did.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did. In high school. Excellent player. Don't know if you've heard of him. Kyle Lowry plays for the
He's pretty good.
Miami Heat.
Yeah.
He's won a title and a gold medal. But he was 2 years younger than me. And a lot of people don't even realize that he went to Northeast High because he graduated from Cardinal Doherty, which is no longer around. But I played with him in my senior year was his sophomore year. And he was fantastic already at that point. I don't think anybody knew really how good he was because he had to play JV his 9th grade year, and then just became like you could start to see the seeds of like no one ever thought he was going to be like an Olympian or anything like that. But
if you're getting recruited by Villanova, you
Right.
have to be pretty damn good anyway.
Yeah, and he always had that, for lack of a better term, that ass, like that
dump
rebounding dump truck.
I thought he was going to say that. People say
I didn't
like,
say that thing. That,
I thought he was going to say that.
No,
the ass caught me off
his
guard.
rear end.
Pause.
He
When
was,
you be like practicing, you're like, damn, Kyle Lowry ass is
he was just like, he's 5'11" or whatever it is, but he
boxed
was
out half the
always such an
Catholic League.
amazing
Oh,
rebounder.
man.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So
Imagine how good a player I could be with an ass like that. Damn it.
mine was bigger. Yeah, probably. But yeah,
You're not an ass man. I can tell by looking at you.
he was he was a great player. He had a quadruple double one time in high school against like Frankfurt or something. So that was kind of when we knew like, oh man, this guy.
Yeah. With what blocks?
Steals. He had like 14 steals in one game. It was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. So anyway, yeah, my senior year, his sophomore year at Northeast, he helps take us to the city championship game, and we played against Strawberry Mansion and lost because
is this in the Fluster or no?
This was at Leah Corse Center.
Okay.
This is a Temple.
Very cool.
And they had Maurice Rice, who turned out to be the greatest scorer.
So you
in
know
public
Maurice
history.
Rice is? Remember we used to play hoops over in GFS, and that guy used to come and ball with us.
yeah.
So we used to
Cook
play against him
everybody.
on like Monday nights randomly.
Really?
This is like
a couple
5 or
years
6
ago.
years ago.
Yeah, and this dude's still a good ball player. He just
Yeah.
like we was have pickup games on Monday nights, and he
Whatever
started
happened,
randomly coming. I don't know
He's
what happened.
playing
to him.
with us.
Yeah, he's playing with.
Well, that's what happened to him.
I
Yeah.
don't know what happened to the guy. Now, Rock and I will tell people we played basketball in high school, but did you get some good, were you in the mix, like starting 5, you're 6 man coming off the bench? What are we talking here?
No.
None of that?
I was like the 10th guy off the bench. I mean, we had such a good team that we made it to the publicly title game, and we had some guys that were, obviously we had an NBA player,
Right.
a couple of guys that played overseas.
Wow.
Chaz Crawford, who was our center, he was like 6'10".
Oh, yeah, I know
played in-
Chaz. He's great. He's done great things over there. Keep track of your
Yeah,
players.
yeah, of course. Great. He played for a long time, actually, too. He played overseas for a while. But yeah, I mean, I was like the 10th guy, and if I got burned, I was happy with it.
Nice.
So, you know what's interesting? I feel like times have changed. Like when we were young, when you were the 10th guy, it was, you weren't really a part of it. Now on teams, it's like they have their own cheers and like everyone has a high five.
know, we
with-
were so
the 10th
boring.
guy has his own high five with the star player. You're
Yeah.
actually a part of it. That didn't happen
That
for us.
didn't-
We were scorned. You know what I mean?
didn't happen for me.
We were put down.
Meech was probably a better basketball player than I was.
No, I don't know if I told the story, but I got cut my freshman year at Archbishop Ryan. My freshman year, it was right before the summer, so or right around when you start school, and I was 5'3" at the time. When I was a freshman, I was 5'3", so I made it to the last tryouts at Ryan, and there was another point guard from Port Richmond who lived next to the head coach. And he wasn't good, but he got the spot over me. I took the SEPTA bus from Archbishop Ryan down to 7-Eleven, and I started smoking cigarettes. I swear to God, I bought a pack of cigarettes right after I got cut my
You
last
just knew.
try. And then the next year, I was like 5'9", and the basketball coach was like, "Hey, Mike, you trying out this year?" I was like, "Nah, man, I smoke Newport Light instead."
So
I've moved on to
real.
better
Yeah.
things.
So real. Now, don't
Sorry,
let
man.
anyone ever say this isn't a sports podcast because Fink, and he changed the screen as soon as I mentioned, he's got the fills up. What are we, 1-0 already, right, bud?
Long ball hall, home run.
That's
Long
my
ball
guy.
Hall. Hell yeah, let's
Who I
go.
actually, not to
Here we go.
interject,
No,
but
perfect.
just sat down with him
For a gallon of
of questions.
Yeah,
A
it's
gallon.
terrific.
And he's a cool guy. He is he's very laid back, was very accommodating, which you don't always get with professional athletes. So
Yep.
long ball hall, that's my guy.
When you spend that time in the minors, I think you're a very much more humbled ball
Yeah.
player than if you go through the system quick and
For sure.
he's worked his way and he's earned his spot up here.
Yeah, not many guys.
Another
just jump
home
into
run.
it.
Nick
From him?
Castellanos.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
yeah, you knew
Phils are so back.
he would go off at some point.
I love this
I love these live
play-by-play
updates.
from the Fink
I
tank.
think, is it illegal for you to live bet? Like if we showed you making bets in real time?
What's
Why is that-
what's illegal
I don't
about
know.
that?
I don't know.
Are you supplying my betting account to make
You know
these?
what? If you come up with some good bets, I might back you
All right.
because
Well,
I believe in you
double it
that
up.
much.
I like it.
Well, now that we're talking about the Phillies, I think that's one of the connections that me and Pat had.
Yes.
Right?
We both started as bloggers. Me, I started by myself. Pat started with Phillies Nation.
That's right.
And it's
Very nerdy at the time, but it became cool.
No,
after.
it wasn't nerdy at the
Casual.
time. Like they were the first ones with,
got a
with
blog.
video.
Left field hate right there.
They were like an official team, and shit. Who came out of it? It was you were at a sports anchor at CBS 3.
Yep.
Natalie Eganoff was
That's
with
what
the
I'm
Mike
saying, ahead of the
Missinelli
time.
show, and
Corey Seidman.
now she's with Bet Parks. Corey Seidman is with NBC Phillies. Got the podcast with Jim Salisbury.
There you go.
I mean, that's star power.
Plus Mike Bauman, who writes for the
Right?
Ringer.
Yeah, I
Paul
love Mike.
Boyer does
Yep.
the Phillies podcast with it's called Phillies Therapy with
Matt
Matt
Gell,
Gell.
who
Also,
was
Mike
on the
Meech.
show.
Mike
of the
Meech is
City-
now on the City Pigeons
Yep.
podcast.
But I was
So-
never part of Phillies
No,
Nation.
No, I
He was
know,
off
but you
on his
were
own.
I did
a groundbreaking
I did
blogger.
my own, I did more sarcastic asshole point of view.
So funny, though. So good.
People love that.
But Phillies Nation, they were like legitimate, and they got. I mean, you could tell from what came out of it how
we took it seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
and
was like me. I didn't take mine serious, and that's probably why.
But it was hilarious. It was, and people still to this day.
And now you
talk
do
about
the
it.
sarcastic asshole shtick every day on Twitter. So if you want to follow Mike Meech, that's what you get.
Did
there.
you start it yourself, or like was it an idea between
No,
everybody,
it was
or
someone else started
Brian
it.
Michael, was
Brian
it?
Michael, who super smart guy, actually now co-owns Shibe Vintage Sports
Yeah.
on 13th Street.
Yep.
So he's the one that started it when he was in London. I believe he went to the London School of Economics. And at the time, it was like 2005, there wasn't really any place to find Phillies news.
Right.
And he's like, well, I'll just start it. Stayed up, watched games, wrote about it. Slowly it built. And then he hired a guy named Tim Malcolm, who is actually
Tim was my buddy. He helped me.
a published writer. Yeah, he's got several
He's in
books.
Texas now, I
He's in
think.
Houston.
Yeah.
He's a food critic in Houston. So it is pretty cool that all of this came from Phillies Nation. We actually, we had the idea because right after they won the World Series, everyone's riding high. I mean, reading about the Phillies was
Yep.
at the top of the list. And it was me and Corey and Brian was like, hey, let's start a TV show. Like, what do we have to lose? Let's
Right.
give it a shot. Brian backed us, and we pitched it to, at the time, Comcast Sportsnet, and it worked. It took off. I mean, we actually got ratings. It actually turned out that good. So,
And it gave you a nice little reel for,
and it gave me
the segue.
that is exactly how it happened.
It's crazy how, like, not to take anything away from you saying you got ratings, but anything Phillies related back then would draw attention. You could do anything and add. I used to watch QVC when Shane Victorino was on, just to listen to him babble about whatever he was trying
to sell?
Yeah, it was just anything Phillies related. People would just gobble it up.
Yeah.
So it was. I mean, my stupid blog got 1 million hits a day at one point.
That's amazing.
Oh,
And,
shit.
Like for an independent.
What?
You didn't monetize that?
No, I'm an idiot.
Damn it.
But it was also like.
But you got a best
pre-
affiliate award out of it.
I
Though.
did get a
You get
best
that.
Get that. But wasn't it like it was pre monetize everything
Right.
like that? We just were kind of like flying by the seat of our pants.
I made
Yeah.
money off of it from T-shirts,
Right.
from T-shirt sales. But even the T-shirt sales, I only made like 10% because the guys who they printed it, they put the website
Right.
up, they packaged everything. Like I didn't have to do anything.
Right.
So I was like, if I just come up with an idea for a T-shirt, you draw it out and you do everything. I don't really deserve that. Like I'm putting out the platform.
Sure,
but
sure.
You got that
you
360
did
deal.
everything.
Did you ever have one of Meech's legendary T-shirts? What was your best-selling one?
The best-selling one by far was Matt Stairs. There was one point where Matt Stairs contacted us, and I was scared to death when I seen it because I was like,
Thought he was gonna
he's
sue you or something.
going to be pissed. Like he's probably like, listen, you can't do this. Take this down. He goes, listen, I love this T-shirt. Can you send me a few so I can bring them to my autograph sessions?
That's
So we
amazing.
sent him like 3 cases, every goddamn size. Like, we were like, yes, Mr. Stairs, here you go.
That's awesome.
But that was it was, in case anyone doesn't remember, and Fink could probably bring it up, it was
Find
a
it.
picture of, an illustrated picture of Matt Stairs hitting the home run in
Yeah.
Dodger Stadium. And it said, use stairs in case of emergency.
Brilliant.
It was just
Nice.
like the
Brilliant.
most brilliant slogan.
I feel like somewhere Matt
don't-
Stairs is like hanging out in his backyard drinking
He's
like
got the cutoff
Bush
shirt.
Light, and he's got
With the
He
shirt
has
on.
used the Stairs tee.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It has like mustard all
There
over
it
it.
is.
So,
There's nothing cooler than
Oh
that.
my god, it is. It's a
so,
classic.
There it is.
Somebody's
look at
selling
that.
it.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's on somebody's
Hold
website
up.
for sale.
It's sold already. Oh wait, you got to sign in.
Wait a minute.
What
Oh,
size,
no,
Meech?
that
Let's
was
get
of
you
mine.
one
They
XL.
just sold a
They
vintage.
stole the idea.
Do you
Wait,
still
No,
have those?
that's just a vintage.
Matt Stairs is selling them.
I think
So-
I still have one of those. I have
Talking about
a few of them.
That's cool.
the beginnings, right? So
There we
did
go,
you
that one's better.
always know that you wanted to be a sports anchor, like growing up?
I
Like-
did.
Okay.
Yeah, even from like when I was like 6 years, I was obsessed with Sports Center. Obsessed with it. I would watch because it would replay every morning for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
8 hours, and I would watch like 6 of those
Yeah, I was
hours.
the same.
In the summertime, I would watch the entire string of them. I was obsessed with.
There
like,
wasn't as much competition back then.
There
you know
wasn't.
what I mean?
No, there wasn't. Keith Olbermann, Dan Patrick, The Big Show,
Legends.
Stuart Scott,
The commercials.
Kilborn. Oh,
How
my
good
God.
were the commercials,
So
though?
good.
I mean, come on.
So good. So good, in fact, that when I was in middle school, we did a project. You know, we got like a camera and all
We need to
that,
find
and we
this.
did a fake. There's no way this exists.
Is this
A
like the
fake
Carson
Sports
Wentz
Center.
video?
It's like
Fink, roll the fake Sports Center video that he did in 8th grade.
We have it. We have
Can
it.
you find it? Look at it. Yeah,
Thanks.
it's just like a fake Sports Center commercial because we were just all so obsessed with it. But yeah, like from a very young age, I knew that I wanted to be an
So you
anchor.
started like laying the tracks early. Like I'm going to go to school for journalism. I'm going to try to get these internships. What's the story?
It's when you're a kid, you're like, oh yeah, this sounds great, and then you get a little bit older, you're like, oh, this sounds hard. This
Yeah.
sounds difficult.
Everyone wants to do this.
Yeah. So in high school, I was like, maybe I want to get into engineering, and then I realized I sucked at math, and I was like, no way, that's happening. So got to college, and that's when I really started to home in on it. And from a young age, I've always known, but I guess it started. My first job actually was with the NBA. I was like a production assistant for NBA TV, which was really cool because all I did all day was watch basketball.
Yeah.
Sick.
And they were like, "Hey,
What was that, based out of Jersey? Or
Yeah, I was in
something?
Secaucus. They still
Yeah.
might have their
Would Kyle Lowry get you that job or something?
no on my own, just me. Got it. But yeah, started there, and they were like, "Hey, well, we want to promote you, but like behind the scenes." And I figured, you know what? If I do this, if I don't take this chance now,
Yeah.
I'll regret it. And so I quit after a year at the NBA. Coolest job, and like right out of college, I was making like $40,000 watching basketball right out of college. Wasn't that bad?
Hell yeah.
So then that's when the blogging came into play, and then I started getting more, featured time on radio, and then that became a full-time radio gig. And then as I'm doing
you started
radio,
at 97.3 in Jersey,
that was,
ESPN, right?
Yeah, 97.3, small station.
You know who
yeah.
I was like on station is Mike Gill.
He's still there.
Yeah.
Mike Gill is.
What are they called? Sports bash?
Sports bash,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think he's good at what he does.
Mike is the guy that gave me my start in radio because he heard a podcast that I had started for Phillies Nation. So that's
great.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
layers here, but started doing podcasting at Phillies Nation before we did the TV show. Mike was like, "Hey man, can I come on your podcast?" I'm like, "All right, sure, yeah." We're always looking for content, and after that, he's like, "Hey, do you want to like join the show and you can be the Sports Center anchor? You know, every 20 minutes we do the news update." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, cool." So I took that and I did that for like maybe 2 years. And in that 2 years, I made literally $0.
Yeah.
Made no money, and that was the start of it, though, and that's how we got the wheels in motion.
So you know what's interesting about your journey? I was reading something online. I think it was like your Westchester University interview or something.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of good.
It says online though that I'm 5'7", apparently, right? I'm much taller.
We got it. You're what, 5'5", right?
Exactly, 5'8".
Right.
Please.
Well, one of the reasons that I found your journey so interesting is like I had at times thought, maybe we all like sports. Like, hey,
Sure,
we'll do
yeah.
this. And I was like, I do not want to go to like Albany, you know what I mean? Or like, Albany's a good market, you know what I mean? You got to go to like somewhere and cover just the worst and, live there. You talk to almost anyone in the media, they went from here to here to here.
Yep.
And then if they're lucky, they came back to their hometown.
Yeah.
So I thought it was so interesting that you were able to do everything in Philly. Like that's really, really awesome and different type, radio, blogging, all over the place.
Yeah, again, just like right place, right time, got lucky. But I had built what we had done, with Phillies Nation, and we started the TV show, and that's where it kind of happened that I put together a demo reel, and then it just so happens that, we're doing this show. It's been on Comcast for like 3 years or 4 years. Put the demo tape together, and then the stars just basically align where CBS 3 has an opening, and I had made friends over there, sent in my tape. They had me in for an interview, audition, and they hired me 2 weeks later.
And you're going up against, I assume, people that have been in other markets who've probably been doing it a long time.
I
have
never
to
found out
assume,
who
right?
else they interviewed or auditioned, but I would assume that there were some other people from out of town that had been doing it a little bit longer, just not in Philly.
All those people know and secretly hate you, by the way. And you have no idea of all these enemies.
I might, yeah, across the country.
Was that like purposeful? Like I'm trying to stay in Philadelphia. I'm gonna do what I can here, not leave home. Or like if someone approach you at any point, like, hey, I got this great opportunity for you out in like Oklahoma City.
No, it never got that far because I never had that that formal background of
Okay.
like coming up
Right.
through TV, where you would get those pitches from Oklahoma City or Indianapolis or
Yeah.
whatever town, Albany,
Yeah,
or
those
whatever
people
it might
probably
be.
didn't even know you
They didn't even know I existed.
Right.
But in Philly, I had been on the, I'd been
Right,
on the
you're
radio.
recognized and-
Yeah, I was working like with Mike Missinelli's show, had my own show on the weekends, and so I guess it was a semi-recognizable name, and I just made so many good contacts and friends within the industry that as soon as I had the tape ready, I sent it to someone I knew, and that's what helped.
And it's always been interesting to me, like whether it's TV or radio, I feel like the stations around here, like many others, bring people in from, outside the city.
Yeah.
And I guess that's okay if you're doing like news, but once you get into sports, I feel like it's just not the same, if you don't have that
local
Look,
passion.
And there's
Yeah.
lots of people who have done a good job, like acclimate themselves to it.
Yeah, of course.
But,
I
I
think
just think
Philly's news market is so much different than most other cities' news markets. The news station you grow up watching, those people are almost like like family to you. You trust them.
So
like,
true.
My mother trusts, like she talks about news people like they're her sister, and the information that they gave out on the TV is gospel, and she told me this, so it must be true. And I think it's much different here than it is everywhere else. They make almost like celebrities out of newscasters, and I'm sure you
Not me.
recognize.
Nah.
No,
you're on
like,
your way. Come on.
you have to be recognized places you go.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
you're on the boardwalk in Ocean City there. Pat! And you hear the whisper, hey, I think that's Pat Gallen from City.
I don't know. Maybe occasionally.
We
But not-
went to the basketball
definitely
game that one time. Some guy, I remember specifically, some guy was like, I think that's Pat Gallen over there, right there. And I was like,
Does that happen?
making
Yeah.
that up.
He felt
I'm not
special
lying.
just being with you.
I was like, yes, my homie right there.
Felt special.
Patty
Just-
G.
You're right. You are right. Like Philly is
Yeah.
much, much different than a lot of other cities in that we do. I don't want to say hold us to a higher esteem, but that's good because they expect
Like
a lot
even
from us.
to take one of your old CBS 3 sports guys, Big Al Meltzer was like, he was like, I know his nickname was Big Al, but he was seriously like larger than life. They put him in a Rocky movie, him in, what's his name?
Yeah, I'm blanking on the name.
Stan Hockman.
Stan Hockman. Yeah.
They, these guys were like big celebrities, and I mean, I remember when they used to cut to Big Al Meltzer, they'd be like, and Big Al Meltzer's down in the locker room, Big, like they wouldn't even say his name, they were just Big. Let's go to you.
I
Big.
can't get a cool nickname like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a cool nickname.
Now,
PG.
if another market came to you and was like, hey, we got this opportunity for you to be
What's he supposed to
the
say?
next step up.
What's he
Are
supposed
you
to-
going to
yeah,
peel
I'm
out
outta
of
here.
Philly? I don't know if you want to answer this right now. Who knows who's watching? But
Well, I mean,
you know,
of course, there's always the pull of like, oh, well, could I go
Yeah.
bigger, national or whatever it might be. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I always wanted to be on ESPN, but no, I mean,
You
this
could be
was
Stephen A.
always.
Smith.
that's right up the
I
road,
cannot be
man, in
Stephen.
Connecticut,
I
right?
cannot
Isn't
be
that's
Stephen
where I was having dinner one night with a
Bristol.
couple people. Don Bell, right? He came from ESPN, right?
Yeah,
And, like, bounced
Don
around.
Bell. Don Bell, who co-anchor at CBS 3 he was a Sports Center anchor for like 3 or 4 years, and then actually jumped to Fox Sports 1 when they launched. Do you remember the show they launched with Jay and Dan and the whole
I
thing?
remember.
He was one of the original members of that launch. So yeah, he's been around.
If someone's going to tell me about how bad the Eagles played, I want to see that it hurts them. Do you know what I mean? I want to
Yeah,
feel
right?
that.
Pain in
Exactly.
their eyes.
Like, I don't want you to just be like, well, the Eagles played a
Yeah.
bad game today against the New York Jets. I want to feel that it
Yeah,
hurts.
you can tell the
you know what I
genuine
mean?
guys out there, man.
It hurt.
Appreciate it.
It still hurts in some ways, but I've learned to
Well,
block that out. I have a job to do.
You have to, and I think that's one of the really interesting components of doing what you do now, right? Because there's this blend, like the line between your kind of personal brand and your professional brand, with Twitter and all this. And it's like, I'm sure there's times you want to let rip, but like you just can't do that. And you're probably thinking when you're on air, you probably really feel a certain way. You got to dial that back a little. How do you manage like the emotions, and how do you manage being in the moment and staying professional?
He's a goddamn
I'm
professional.
a professional, damn it. Yeah, I think it just comes with the territory. You kind of know what you can and can't say or do. And it's all about fairness anyway. And so like if I was on sports talk radio, there's just a different level that you can take it to, and you can take those liberties. But with TV, people are looking to you for the news, a little bit of opinion in sports, and we do those in certain aspects and on certain shows. But you've got to bring them the facts first, and then if there's time to interject your opinion, we try to do that in a fair way.
And then you have the segments where you get closer to the athletes, and it's not just facts. I mean, it's a nice little opportunity, but you can't just go. Nobody wants to hear you go on there and, well, I didn't want Rob Thompson to pull him in the eighth inning.
My bosses certainly don't. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, I know that you have, as a result of your position, gotten to spend some time with some really amazing people. You go on some really amazing events, and I was thinking, we've been interviewing some people. We've got to be able to learn some things from you. We've got to be able to glean some things. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about some of your best experiences. Let's start with what's like the interview that you did that you just are like, man, I can't believe that just happened. That was like the coolest thing.
Well, I mean, it all starts with the Super Bowl. I went to Minneapolis. I was there for 9 or 10 days. Got to experience everything that city had to offer, and then
he was in Doug Peterson's post-game prayer circle.
That was gonna be that's like the apex where
up.
During the game, they send you down to the tunnel, and then once the game is I literally watched the final 2 minutes of the game from the tunnel on a 13-inch TV, but I could hear everything above me, and it sounded like a bomb exploded when they won. So they lead you out onto the field, confetti's flying everywhere, and it's just a free-for-all. Like, go find a player, go see what happens. And I'm like, I'm interviewing Brian Dawkins. He's crying after they just won the Super Bowl. I'm interviewing Lane Johnson and Malcolm Jenkins and Rodney McLeod, and like, I'm looking around like, I can't believe this is real. So we get through that, and then we do our live hits back to CBS in Philly. And we're like, why don't we just try and get in the locker room? We have no idea what's going to happen. Let's just give it a shot. We didn't even know if our credential would work. So you go up to the little thing, scan it, green. We're in. Walk in. It's a freaking party, man. It's like insane in there. Everyone's on their phones.
The goggles are out. The champagne
it's nuts in there.
That is so amazing.
So we get I got someone else before Doug Peterson, but got Doug Peterson, interviewed him live on CBS right after the Eagles win the Super Bowl. We're hanging out in there. My photographer got this epic shot of Malcolm Jenkins holding the Super Bowl trophy, just staring at it at his locker, and it gives me a little tingle just thinking about it. I'm sure, you could probably find that. So we're hanging out. We're live in there, and Doug Peterson comes over and brings Jeffrey Lowry and Howie Roseman with him, and they got the trophy, and I'm shoulder to shoulder with some of the players, like Brandon Graham's on my right. So, it's like, this is nuts. Doug Peterson grabs the players by the hand. They get down on one knee, and I'm literally like, Doug Peterson's where Fink is right now, and I'm standing here holding my phone, and every player on the team gets down kneeling in prayer, and I'm recording it, and I've like kind of goosebumps thinking about it because it was so cool. And I'm like, how is it going to get any better than this? Like, it's never going to get. The Eagles, my hometown team, just won the Super Bowl, and I am in the middle of a prayer circle.
That is pretty cool, man.
It gets no better.
Off of what Jesse said earlier, how do you balance? Like, it's the Super Bowl. Like, we all been waiting for the Eagles Super Bowl, and I know you're a professional, but how did you balance that, like the emotions and everything in that moment? I
mean, in the moment, you're just so locked in on like, you're not even really thinking so much about that as like, I've got to get this footage, or I've got to get this done.
Yeah, you have no time.
You really like, and your brain is moving 1,000 miles a minute. Like, what's next? What do I have to do? And I have an earpiece in, and they're talking to me in my ear. So there's the whole gamut of emotions. But we came out after that, had Brandon Graham on live, and then right after that, it just sort of hit me like, that is never going to get better. And then we were doing like snow angels and the confetti on the field, and like I don't know, it's never gonna get better than that.
Was it really as cold as they said it was out there?
It was so freaking cold in Minneapolis. So Super Bowl Sunday was the coldest day, and we had to be live in the morning at like 6 a.m. It was like -8 with a 30 below wind chill. But they won, so who cares?
I think a cool part of that story I heard was that Brian Dawkins, a player who wasn't even playing in the game, was crying after the game after they won. Man, that just shows how much B-Dog.
I love B-Dog, but he does an awful lot of crying.
He does cry.
My man cries.
Don't just say a bad thing about B-Dog.
Hallelujah!
He's gonna bust in here and
Just saying, he's free with his emotions.
I don't think I ever posted this video, but the next day, you know, we're up all night. It was like a 24-hour day. We get up early because we hear that the Eagles team plane is going to leave, so they want us to try and get to the airport and get footage of them leaving. So we haul it over to the airport. Guy from CBS, works on the desk, calls me. He's like, "Hey, go to this gate, ask for this guy. He's going to let you in." I'm like, "All right, we'll see what happens here." So we call the guy. He opens the door, lets us in. And I'm like, "No, we're not going to even pat us down. Like, there's no bag check. We could have anything here."
Right.
Walk right in. He's like, "Here, follow me." Open the door. We're literally standing under the team plane. And the team is lined up getting on the plane. I'm like, "Oh, my God, jackpot. Like, how did this just happen?" Don't ask any questions. Just keep walking. Camera guy gets the camera, walks over. So they tell us, "All right, just stand right here. You can get whatever you want." Now, meanwhile, first off, it's super illegal that we're even in there in the first place. And the team has no idea that we're in there. So try to be calm, just stay in this little area. Guy from the airline or whatever it is comes over. He's like, "Hey, do you want to get up on the plane and get some footage?" I'm like, yeah, okay. So we walk over to the steps, and Fletcher Cox is getting on. I'll show you guys this video after. It's pretty crazy. And as soon as we start to walk toward the steps, security comes over and goes, "Who are they? You're not supposed to be here." And so my photographer realizes what's happening and starts backing up. But we're live, like we have this live on the air, and he's backing up, and they're coming to me to start talking because they think I'm going to start, doing a live report from underneath the airplane. They come to me just as soon as this guy walks up to me and says, "We've got to leave." So you can hear me saying, "Well, I thought we were allowed in here, but we're being kicked out." And just, out we go. But I was like this close to getting on the team plane after the Eagles won the Super Bowl just by chance. And then we left, and I was like, forget it, man. I should just quit
listen
now.
to stories about how the Eagles won the Super Bowl all night long. But one thing that I also noted was that you spent some time with Kevin Hart, right?
I did, yeah.
Tell me about that, because it sounded like that was pretty cool.
Well,
Wait, at the
he also
game?
went to your high school, right?
He went to Washington.
Oh, yeah, he went to Washington.
Kevin Hart went to Washington.
Was this at the game, at the Super Bowl?
This was a couple of days beforehand. He was at some event. I forget. It was some bar in the city. But the great Yuki Washington from CBS 3 is friends with Kevin Hart's handler. And he's like, "All right, here's his number. Go here." Text the guy. Says, "All right, show up." Interview him. Hilarious. Obviously, he's Kevin Hart. He's the best. But we were there on the field. Actually, a video of that, too, how hammered Kevin Hart is on the field.
So, by the way, this was a setup, because I wanted to ask you if you saw him on the field after.
I wish I had time to go through my stuff.
Like,
it's in there somewhere.
Pat, can you get me on the stage? I'm trying to go on the
You can
stage.
always send that stuff in afterwards, and we'll
Yeah,
get that
we'll
into
have to-
the
we'll have to
think
send
tank.
it in.
We'll get that in there.
It's brief, but you can see him stumbling around. And we tried to get him for an interview, but he was so out of it, as he would admit.
Right.
Like he was just,
You could see.
he was smoked.
Yeah.
So it was, but it was,
Funny to
yeah.
me.
So
it
you
was
got,
great.
we heard great stories there. What about the most awkward or the worst moments as your time as an anchor?
Most awkward. Luckily, I haven't had too many of those incidents. One time, though, I think I was still maybe doing stuff for Phillies Nation. Jonathan Papelbon was a Philly, and he's Jonathan Papelbon, whatever. Maybe this will get back to him. I don't know. But he was just.
I don't think
you
so.
know
We got your
I
back,
doubt it.
bro.
You
We
know
got
how
your back. Don't worry about it.
you know how he was
Yeah.
and is. We were waiting for him to come out after a game. I don't even remember. It's just so long ago, but we're all standing in a media scrum, cameras and reporters, and he rips a huge fart right on us. And it's fun. When you look, it's okay, it's kind of funny, but we're all professionals, and we're in that
It's like
setting.
Antonio Brown farting on the doctor. You just knock it off.
It was
Knock
really
it off.
in the moment was kind of not cool. So that was the lowest.
There's
of,
no
of
reason
the
he should
low.
be the all-time Phillies savior.
I know.
Somebody's
Did it
gotta
he
knock
ripped
him
his
off.
fart and it was just stinking up the whole spot?
Yeah,
too?
and everyone was like, "What was
See,
that
I
for,
would have
dude?"
laughed really hard initially, but then if it smelled really bad, I'm like, "Oh, come on, man."
Yeah, but it's
Did he
you've
say
been
anything,
there.
or he just ripped it and just kept on going?
I think he probably laughed about it or something. He probably giggled, but these writers are there all day long. Because baseball's the worst. Like, you got to be there at 2 or 3 o'clock, and then the games sometimes run late, and then you got to wait around for the players to come out. And so it's probably like a long, hot day. And then he does that. It's like, all right, man, that's
He
nice.
probably blew a save to where they had to rewrite their whole game story.
Yeah, exactly. But
And then he comes and farts on you. Thanks, asshole.
Literally.
I'm surprised. This is the first time we've talked about farts on the City Pigeons podcast
Seriously.
this entire time.
I might have
I'm
ripped a couple
surprised.
while we've been talking.
I'm
slide down the line.
glad I could be
Hey, I haven't noticed.
Now
if you have.
now the gates are open.
I'm not saying tonight. I mean, we've been doing this for a while
Thanks,
now.
Pat.
Yeah,
But
my
that's a
bad.
good example of how I think everybody looks at covering sports, and everybody in Philly's a big sports fan. It's like, oh, I would love to do that. The realities of doing it aren't always as great as I think people think, right? Like, you wake up at what time, like 2:45 or something?
Well, I used to. I don't work on the morning show anymore. I used
Oh,
to
you're
wake
lucky.
up at my alarm would go off at 2:55 every morning to be in by 4 o'clock.
What time did you go to bed?
If I was lucky, before 8.
And see, I never understood, like, how do you, and the people that do the morning shows here and stuff, how do you have to watch the game when you get, like, you can't stay and watch the game, right?
No. At
You gotta
that
watch it in the
point,
morning.
so that was a little bit. I wasn't doing strictly sports at that time. I was doing some sports, but it was more like feature stuff. So I wasn't so reliant on having to watch the game to tell people what was going on. I was just doing more stories and fun stuff. Like, I was the fun guy on the
On
morning
my
show.
street doing the snow.
The snow removal, yeah. Because my parents actually live on the same block as Meech. We're so Northeast Philly, man. Like, my parents live right down the
Everybody
street.
knows each other.
Yeah. So
One day I was out like shoveling one of those bad snowstorms, and I seen a CBS 3 truck.
I came up to see my family, and yeah, Meech
Yeah, you
lives
ended up
right down the
talking to me.
street. Yeah.
So I've seen you on stuff outside of sports. What do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy the sports stuff more? Or
Yeah, 100%. I mean, because it's what I've always wanted to do. And don't get me wrong, like, I've gotten to do some really cool things outside of sports. Try every restaurant in the city, and I've done, that jetpack thing in the water that shoots you out. Like, I've gotten to do all these cool stories.
I did want to
but
ask you.
sports is it? Yeah.
Are you a snowboarder, or did you do a snowboarding segment?
I am not a
You're
snowboarder.
not, but you did.
I tried it, I think, one
for, like,
morning.
the first time?
I tried one time when I was younger. I'm a skier,
Okay.
but I wanted to try because it was like the fad when we were the kids in the 90s.
Yeah.
Sucked at it, but I've been skiing ever since. But for that, it was like National Snowboarding Day or something, and I decided to.
real
jump out there.
snowboarders don't know about national snowboarding.
Exactly. So I'm not a real snowboarder. That's why I stick to
It
skiing.
makes for a good spot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the wildest thing you ever did? Like, did you ever almost get hurt? Did something crazy happen? There's got to be something in here.
Yeah, actually, on that same story where I had the water jetpack where they shoot you out of the water, I tried.
We've seen that go wrong a lot on the internet.
That went well. It was the water skiing that did not go well, and it took me like 10 times to get up. But on like the 8th try, it's if you've never done it, it can be exhausting
Yeah, it is.
trying
That
to
looks
pull
tough,
yourself
man.
out of the
Yeah, it
water.
looks
I don't like it a little
It's
bit.
tough.
And so I am, you're sitting with your ski tips up, and the guy in the boat hit the gas too hard, and was holding the handle, and he ripped the handle through my legs, and my legs were black and blue. Like the entire leg was black and blue for like 3 months. So I had to walk around with these giant welts on my legs, and to be honest, I probably should have gone to the hospital, and I didn't, and I lived to tell the story.
Did you get the
because-
shot?
The what?
The shot? Did you finish it?
We did, yeah. I got up and I got the shot, yeah. But it was super
Oh,
painful.
I got a random question. I'm sorry. Speaking of the shot,
Jump in,
and
You
man.
never know what's going to Rock's brain.
I love it.
It's a new segment of ours called A Half Gallon of Questions. We just made it
A
up.
quart.
you always hear about like news anchors. They got their suit on top. Do they really wear like shorts down low and like flip flops, or is that just a
Can't give away the
myth?
secrets.
Can't give away the secret, but sometimes we do.
The pandemic normalized that behavior, I think.
Oh
You know
my
what I
God,
mean?
yeah. I was
So-
wearing like pajama pants from
Yeah.
home. Yeah, but even if, not all of them, because now we have all these different, these different.
Like a standing
Yeah,
set.
standing
Yeah.
spot, a
Yeah.
sitting spot where there's no desk in front of you. But I normally just wear Jordan, because what does it matter for me?
That's a big thing that's changed. When you watch like ESPN and stuff, like
Right.
most people are wearing sneakers now. Like they're taking a
Yeah.
lot of liberties.
Yeah.
Like, guys are wearing sweatshirts and blazers and all sorts of crazy stuff.
I like to keep, because it's, especially for me now, like a news anchor can't get away with that, but it's sports. It should be fun. It should
Yeah.
be laid back. So I try to take that literally.
I like that trend. You know, the coaches now are starting to.
It took a long
Jay
time.
Wright.
It took a long time for sneakers to become mainstream. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
On
Not
that
true.
note, you
Yeah.
must have gotten to know Jay Wright pretty well, right? I mean, you've covered a lot of these Villanova runs.
I was with the team all of March and April, and got to that was a bucket list item. Was that I always wanted to cover a Final Four, and I got a chance to do that this year. Which, look, Villanova had a great team, but nobody thought they were. I don't think anybody thought they were going to make it to the Final Four. Jay Wright himself kind of said that. He's like, I didn't think we were going to make it this far, and I was going to announce my retirement. But that was really cool, especially now knowing that it was his last run, and I got to be there literally for everything. I was talking to him every day, sometimes twice a day, and I joke like I was talking to you more than I talked to my wife during that 6-week run. But that was
And you couldn't have hinted to me that you were retiring?
No.
You, Jay Wright.
There was
That's
actually
weird, Pat. That's a weird thing to say.
on April Fool's Day, there was a fake report that came out that he was retiring. And I went up to him and asked him, is this happening? And he kind of like, now you look back and you're like, oh, he kind of, not that he was hinting at it, but he like kind of gave me a look like, no, that's not happening. And damn it happened. I'm like,
How the hell do you know?
Couldn't have broken that story.
Did he ever say to you, maybe it would be cool to coach the Sixers one time? Did he say that?
He did not. I've asked
Not
him.
even off the record?
I've not even off the record. Not even off the record.
Breaks of the
He
City
did
Pigeons
say
Podcast.
Doc lives to live.
He did say that he would leave that avenue open because I think that's a bucket list item for him, and he didn't want to say he doesn't want to be the guy that
And
says
why
I will
would
never
you
do
close
that.
door?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no point in doing it.
But do you think, this is something that I've thought about when I'm thinking about him, you know, when you're from a place like this and you're such a legend, right? You've accomplished what he's accomplished and everybody just thinks you're the greatest thing. Is it even worth running the risk that it doesn't go well? You know what I mean? And that's why, would it make sense to go somewhere else if you were going to, like, is it almost easier?
I think he's got it right. I mean, we would all say from afar, like, you're crazy. Go coach the NBA, make $10 million a year, whatever. But he's a Philly guy. He loves the Jersey Shore. His kids are still, like, they're in their, I think, like, early 20s. So he now finally, after all that time being away from them, gets to, you know, watch them grow up, have kids of their own, whatever it might be. So I think he's doing it the right. I think it takes more courage to do that, to leave at the top of your game.
It's got to be hard for a basketball lifer to just give up basketball. I don't know how it's possible to, like, these guys hang on until they're.
Yeah, Herb McGee is like 90.
Right.
And he just hung him up.
He's just he just loves basketball.
There's no doubt he's a lifer.
To give it up at that age, you must be very content in your life, which I'm so jealous of.
I think he was burned out too.
Yeah.
You could tell, at least it must have been weighing on him that he knew he had this secret and he couldn't tell anyone that this was the last run. But even he said, he's like, look, they're long. I'm away from my family for a long time. It's a grind. And I also think he may or may not say this. He's kind of hinted at it, but the whole NIL thing, I think he worried about being able to keep up with that, because it just changes the land. You can't just go to someone and say, hey, come to Villanova. We're a great program.
Anymore.
It's not like that anymore.
You're going to make X amount of dollars, right?
Yeah.
But what an accomplishment to take that program to where he took it to. I mean, just unbelievable.
It's so cool.
So you must have also been spending some good time down at Eagles training camp, right? You've been down there a few times, I'm guessing, by now.
Yeah,
I
man.
need your, inside take.
My intel?
Because, like, I think we
everyone
else.
We need to know that feel from down there. What's going on? They got the championship aspirations down there?
We are running, hot on this whole thing. What was our predictions again? Fink, I forget.
Me,
like
Meech got 12, you got 11, and Rock took the over 9.5 live.
I think 10 on the record. I think they won 10 games.
10-7.
The vibe is like the defense looks stacked.
Right.
They look great. Everyone's raving about Jordan Davis for good reason. Dude is legit.
Right.
He is a punisher. And then the Kobe Dean.
Yeah, you could see how they work together.
Yeah,
it's
like they just
he
know.
cuts the guy and the Kobe finishes them all.
Exactly.
I mean,
Dude,
they've been doing that.
Is that just like one play? Like, everyone gets so excited about
Nah,
preseason.
you could just tell.
Dude, didn't the Kobe Dean look tiny to everybody on
He does
Friday
look
night?
small.
He looked so tiny.
I
was
saw
like,
him actually at an event, and he did look small.
He's
but
a normal
but that's
size
different.
guy.
Like linebacker, it's different.
I've
It's
seen
a
him
different
knock a
position.
starting.
But he was
tight
like-
end
he's like
3
6'2"
feet
though,
back
right? Or
into
something like
a
that?
running-
No, Nakobe Dean's probably only
I don't think so.
5'11",
Yeah,
Really?
maybe
not
I
6
thought on the
feet.
record they said he was like 6'2". I mean, that was
I don't
you
think
know
he's
how
that
it is
tall.
in football.
But Jordan Davis, though, is a mountain of a man.
He did look good though. I mean, he was running around.
Wait,
like a
who's
beast.
bigger, Mailata or
Mailata.
Mailata's still bigger.
Mailata is one
I
of the
actually-
largest humans I've ever seen. Can you imagine getting hit by him?
So I never got
I
hit.
remember those rugby highlights when we drafted him. I was like, God damn! If this guy has a little bit of footwork, he's going to be a monster.
So I never got hit by Jordan Mailata, but I did attend the Kelsey fundraiser in Sea Isle at the OD, and Mailata was there, and we had both been there for a while, and he was walking through the crowd, and I happened to have met him like 2 weeks before, and being that I was slightly inebriated, I was like, well, I'm going to talk to this guy. He's definitely going to remember me. So I tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, I met you at that thing last week. He literally looks at me and goes, hey, buddy, and like grabs me, and
Sacked you or?
I see people on the street, they call me big guy, you know what I mean? And this guy just grabbed me and like it was actually nice, It's like, oh my gosh, I'm enveloped.
hug.
I've been held like that so
large
long.
human being. And now we have a special bond that I think will last forever. So Jordan,
Do you remember the feeling preseason 2017 compared to now?
I think there was a good vibe, right? Because
I can't remember.
Alshon was there, and Ertz was at the top of his game, and Wentz. You were thinking like he could take the next, but come on, like if you're crazy if you thought they were going to win the Super Bowl.
So
right?
we were having this conversation because I said to these guys, I said, is it possible that we're in one of those moments right now and we don't know it? And going back to that, right, we were like, nobody was like, oh, Birds are going to contend for sure. We're calling off 7-9 season, Doug's second year.
Right.
Carson, just starting to grow as a quarterback, and we're looking at this team on paper, very good kind of across the board, but, we've had these times in the past where we're good on paper. So I was just wondering, though,
That's a really good point.
could they, I'm looking at one thing that really gives me a lot of confidence, and I said this before, the fact that Kelsey, came back. I can tell he believes in Jalen Hurts. The line being what it is. I feel like those guys are like, this is the time for us to do this. Besides that, I've got, I'm not sure why else to think except they're good on paper, but that's the way I'm looking at it.
That's all you can look at right now. I mean, I don't know how much you can take from preseason games against the Jets or practices against the Browns.
They look
but
great against the Jets.
I mean, they look as good as they could look in the time that they had on the field. But I think you're right. Yeah, like maybe it could be one of those moments that maybe we don't see coming, and maybe it does shake out that way. You kind of have to look at like what's the NFC look like?
Right. I don't see like
It's not
the
that
Rams,
great.
obviously.
Yeah, you've got the Rams.
Got that Super Bowl
Awesome.
hangover though.
You could have a hangover.
Not scared of them.
Brady,
Not scared of them.
pretty much. Rodgers, and then I don't know what am I missing? I'm sure I'm missing.
Colts.
The Colts are in the AFC,
Colts
bro.
in the
Oh,
I thought you were joking.
That's what I
I thought that was like a Carson Wentz joke. somehow.
Got a little brain fog over there.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
You saw he just blurted out a word. Colts.
All right,
Lamp.
outside of the sports stuff, what does Pat Gallen do to enjoy himself outside of work?
Family. It's about all I have time for these days is family. I have a 2.5-year-old. But my whole life has just been like, I'm just
working.
obsessed with sports, man.
All right.
Like I can't stop.
You
like
in
the rest of us.
you in any adult leagues? You still balling?
I still play volleyball. Actually, I played volleyball in high school,
Random.
and I know it's so random, right? I was second team all public outside hitter when I could
There
jump.
you go.
Nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that on the record. But I still play beach volleyball occasionally. I actually played in a tournament in Wildwood
What?
back in June. We came in like third place in our pool.
Was it the
I know.
Top Gun Memorial beach volleyball tour?
Exactly, we were all lathered up. I wore
With
jeans.
your aviators on.
How many kills did you average?
A lot of kills.
All right, nice.
A lot of blocks.
But is there anything better than just like diving in the sand?
There is
You know
not.
what I mean, going
That's
for
why
that
I love it.
save.
That's why I love it.
Is it like 2-on-2 you play? Or
It's
is it-
2-on-2. Yeah. I don't really get a chance to play much anymore because my schedule's so crazy. But I haven't actually hooped in a long time. It's
Well,
just
The
a
Open
while.
Challenge?
Yeah, probably. It's been a while.
If
I
you're
just started
free.
playing again.
Really?
If you're
me
free.
And, me and Rock joined the
This is where you guys start.
cool.
This is where you guys start recruiting, huh?
These
Hey,
guys
if you
are
want
on the
to.
best team in the men's league.
That's right.
So if you want to sub in one Wednesday,
Oh, you're gonna be
night-
other teams' bulletin
Come out for like a
board
3-minute
material.
cameo. Try not to blow a tire.
By the way, if there are other teams watching this, these guys come in every week talking about how good their team is. So That's
right.
Is it true?
It's
true.
What league? Where are you
We
playing?
stand by it
It's
too.
the JC, the Jewish Y right down the street from Lankenau.
Okay. Oh yeah. All right. Maybe I'll stop by.
They got
one time.
leagues
Sure.
every night, but we play on.
If you want to bring the
on
cameras
Wednesday.
down and get a couple clips of some real ballers.
Yeah, they're probably busy that night.
There's no air conditioning, so the film might melt.
Washed.
Wow,
It's like
soldiers.
150 degrees.
Oh my
inside
God.
there.
No. Yeah. I'm busy that night.
You're better off, dude. Stay
So,
away.
how about this, right? Because even though we look like trained professionals, this is
Seems like it.
We haven't been on camera all that much in our
Right.
time, and you obviously have a ton of great experience. You got to know some tips, when you're about to go. Like, how do you get up for those times when you're just not feeling it, or when you don't feel like you look good? And it doesn't happen to me that often, but how do you approach, doing it over and over, man?
Yeah, I mean,
there's got to be times when you're like,
there are days when you just like, I have to put on makeup. It's not fun, but it's part of the gig, right? Like, there are days that absolutely suck, days that you just feel crappy, whatever it might be. But then again, you think about, like, I'm not digging ditches, right? Like, I'm not collecting trash. I get to talk for 5 minutes about the sports teams in Philly, and that eases the pain, the anxiety a little bit. And you just got to try and keep it in perspective. But yeah, like, especially during those mornings when I was waking up at before 3 o'clock,
or whatever.
man. And there were some mornings that I had to be up even earlier than that, depending on what the story was. God, it's hard to get over that. Yuki Washington did mornings for like 18 years.
Right.
I'm like, dude, how did
insane.
you do that? I did it for 4 years, and by the end, I was like burned
that
out.
has to be so disruptive to your family life too. Like, how can you even function? I mean, I guess you get to do things with your kids to some extent.
Yeah,
It
Pat went to bed
depends.
with his kid at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, so he was born right before the pandemic started, and I then moved from I was only on the morning show while he was born for like a couple of weeks, and then the pandemic hit, and they moved me back to sports, and that's where I've been full time since, and I'm so happy because I want to stay up and watch games.
That's where you belong.
Yeah, I belong there. Thank you.
So at this point, I'm just going to assume Pat Gallen is going to go on to be, like Meech alluded to, one of these guys who our generation watches until like our deathbed, and he's the only guy we trust to give us the.
Pat's way too humble to think of himself
I
like
do
that.
not.
I just
think
wonder,
that.
like, what's next for you? I mean, I assume you're very happy with where you are, and you're going to keep doing that. But
Yeah.
what do you see on the horizon?
I see. What time is it? Bedtime in about an hour or two.
More golf tomorrow.
Yeah, more golf. The BMW. I don't know. Yeah, you try not to think too far ahead. In our business, there's enough anxiety around, like, we work on year-to-year contracts. If you're lucky, 2, maybe 3. So I try not to look too far ahead and just enjoy what I'm doing now, and I'm enjoying it. I mean, again, like, I got to tell these stories with you guys about some of the crazy stuff that I've been able to accomplish and still am able to accomplish. I got to talk about Tom Hoagie about hoagies. What does he like? He
It's my new favorite golfer.
doesn't
right
get
there.
any better than that. It's
and
too much
hearing
fun.
you tell those stories about the Super Bowl was really awesome, man, because that was a special time for all of us.
I know, man. I had friends and family from home like calling me crying that night about how excited they were. It was like, that was a pinch me moment.
Yeah, I cried.
Yeah.
That was my B-Doc moment right there.
Yeah. And I'm glad.
I
you guys
definitely
did.
cried too.
Well, hey, man, thanks so much for coming
Is that
by.
it?
It was a pleasure. I know it goes by quick.
We got a lot of
doesn't it?
questions, but you got to get to bed, man. You got things to do in the morning.
You're right.
Wilmington
That's
Country
right.
Club
It
is.
goes by very
thanks,
quick.
man.
Thank you.
And
Thanks
everybody,
for the
thanks
invite.
for tuning in. City Pigeons Podcast is presented by the Good Hart Law Firm, personal injury firm for all of your personal injury claim needs. If you need representation, Mark Goodhart and his firm is the best place to go. Check out goodhartfirm.com. It won't steer you wrong.
Before you go, you got anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, I want to shout out my son Joey. It's his senior year at Duquesne. He starts next week.
Nice.
Good luck, Joey.
Good luck, Joe.
Let's go,
Good
Joey.
luck, Joey.
What about you, Pat?
Check me out on CBS 3. Thank you.
Go.
See you next time.
Later.